Hey guys, welcome to the first set of videos on why you should follow your heart. So heart health is the most important thing that you can have, right? If your heart dies, you die. I mean, if your brain dies, then your body can stay alive as long as your heart still keeps beating. So always take care of your heart, and your heart health has more to do with the relationships around you than anything else. When your relationships suffer, uh, then your heart dies, right? And so taking this path is always going to take you into the unknown. This is the image of the bridge here, where you're walking across a bridge. I mean, if you're working for somebody else and you don't like your job, you're really not following your heart. Not only that, but you know, you're not getting the feedback. You're getting constant feedback, whether you realize it or not. If you're unhappy, your heart's not happy, your heart starts dying, and so you start dying. And you see that, people that hate their jobs, that they'll age more as they get older. And so it's really important to follow your heart, and you'll find out that the universe will support you in that when you're following your heart. So I really, I've been making the State of Reality series, and that's going to back this series, and this series I believe is more important than any of the other series. So I'm going to share with you guys a dream that I had last night after I was told um, to start this series of videos. So last night there was like three of us, and we were in an area, and we were trying to pick our stuff up, trying to gather things that we'd lost. It was like parts of ourselves um, that were missing. And as soon as we gathered those things, we got to a place where there was a long uh, there was like a collapsed bridge where the bridge was gone. And I think it was me and maybe two or three other people, and it was, we were just kind of leaving that old reality. There was like an old world that we were leaving, and we jumped and we just kind of turned into a light body and then floated to the other side, and everything was free, right? No, there wasn't any bondage, there wasn't anything over there. And this is an image that has kind of stayed with me for years. Uh, and it's more than just, I'm not talking about making a lot of money or, uh, financial freedom. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about heart freedom, because financial freedom does not necessarily mean security. I've met people that are very wealthy that are very unhappy. Um, this is not something that's well understood. Abundance in life really doesn't have anything to do with money. Now, money might be something that comes from that. When you're living a life of abundance and you have real joy in your heart, you're going to attract abundance, right? But it doesn't happen the other way around. You can't chase money to get abundance. You have to heal your heart space first. So, and so, all of us have to move from this place of heartache. Oh, wrong side. I'm looking at this thing backwards. To a healthy heart. I've got a nice healthy green heart chakra over here versus you know, uh, a nicked heart or a stabbed heart, kind of the three of swords, right? Um, and all of us learn lessons. Most of us, for our first relationships, maybe we went through a terrible heartache. And then if you allow your heart to harden, you'll start to go through relationship after relationship after relationship, and you never heal. And so how you're viewing your relationships, you get to a place where you just start using people instead of investing in people and sharing and being vulnerable and allowing those relationships to grow. Because if you get to a place where your relationships aren't growing and you're just using the people around you, you're going to attract people that are just going to use you. And then, you know, where are you at, right? I mean, uh, it's just a bad experience. So I am going to tell a story that I've never told before. I don't think I've ever told anybody this story. It's a very intimate story. I never really shared for a lot of reasons. I've had my own problems with intimacy and vulnerability, And recently, I shared, that I was just generally sad because, when you start following your heart, a lot of times it'll um, trigger shadow parts of other people around you. And not only that, because you're trying to heal. So as you're moving forward and you're trying to heal, because this process, if you're following your heart, it will force you to heal. It'll force you to heal all those fears and insecurities, anything that you've got around your biofield. It forces you to heal that stuff. And what it does, it will unconsciously trigger a lot of those similar pains that you attracted in the people around you. And it's not their fault, right? But it is part of the healing process. And it's actually, you're unknowingly raising the vibration of all the people around you. It's really important to be able to follow your heart. So we'll go to the next slide and I'll tell my story. Hopefully I can tell this story without getting too emotional. I reviewed it this morning, and I got very emotional just reliving this story, just exactly what happened. So, I was always a really sensitive kid growing up, right? I was very empathic. And so it was very insecure. And I didn't have a girlfriend until I think I was 20, I think I was 24. And so I started seeing this girl when I was 24. And for the first 6 months, everything went really well. And she had a lot of childhood trauma. She grew up in a very, dysfunctional home, but, that's not any different than anybody else. But I found out later, she was bipolar, and her family was, she had a very dysfunctional relationship with her dad. And so she had very low self-worth. And, finally it got to where, and we had conversations before where she said, well, you're going to leave me eventually. And I would say, well, why? Why would I leave you? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. We're not, how we are now isn't how we're going to be later. You just grow together with the people, the one that you love. And so I never understood why she always said that. And so anybody that's in that position where you've got a really low self-worth, eventually it will, unless you're able to heal those traumas, you're going to leave the people around you because you can't face those traumas, right? So eventually she left me for somebody else. It was easy, right? You find somebody else that you're attracted to, jump on board with that person, but then you get in that cycle where all you're doing is just jumping from person to person to person, and you're not healing those things. And so I kind of, I knew what she was doing, but it didn't change the fact that it caused me a lot of pain because I'd fallen in love with this girl, right? I loved the hell out of her. She was fun to hang out with. And I remember it was, I still remember the date because it was such a profound experience. It was December 21st of 2000. And I was laying in bed and I was staying with my parents for a short period of time. I was in between work. I was an apprentice electrician, and it was just before or maybe it was just after, I think I started working for a contractor in Walla Walla. And after that, I moved back out. But I just remember laying in bed and just bawling my eyes out. And I just say, please God, just take this pain away from me. And I say, I will love her unconditionally for the rest of my life. I don't need, she doesn't need to do anything for me, because I knew that even though I was going through pain, it was kind of like a mutual pain, right? We're in this group consciousness that she wasn't able to address things that she needed to face. And at the same time, I wasn't able to address things that I needed to address. That's why I attracted that kind of a relationship. But I just decided that it doesn't matter what anybody apparently on the outside was doing to me, that I would always love them unconditionally. And all of a sudden I felt this amazing feeling just come over my body. It was just kind of like washed from head to toe. And I heard singing, and it was like I could hear, the entire creation singing around me. I don't think I can really explain the experience. It was like an audible and a feeling at the same time. Your entire body feels that. And then it was like all the pain, all that emotional pain just immediately went away, and I just, boom, went to sleep. Because I mean, I was exhausted, right? Because if you're in a high state of stress, your body is just like wiped out. And so the next morning, it was a work day. I woke up the next morning, and people talk about raising their vibration, right? Where you raise your vibration and, to manifest, positive thinking and all that kind of stuff. And it felt like when I got out of bed, I had no pain, but it also felt like I was like holding on to a high voltage electrical line where my body was just vibrating, just like, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. I came to the living room and I started tying my shoes, and I remember I was just kind of doing everything in slow motion because I was in a place of peace, but my entire being was just kind of just like buzzing. And my mom, this is like at 4:30 in the morning, she walked out of her room and she was staring at me because she said she just had a dream about me. And she told me something, and then I just kind of said, oh, okay. And I put my shoes on, and I got up and I went to work. And for the next 30 days, that feeling just slowly dissipated. I wasn't really interested in eating as much, but that pain that I felt, it just kind of went away, right? And it was much easier for me to just love the people around you without concern for what they thought, because you already know that, especially if you're empathic, you can feel the blockages within yourself, and you can feel them in the people around you, and you know that if somebody's trying to attack you or they think that you're somehow against them, that's not really, they're just hurting themselves, right? Nobody can really attack you. I think this is one thing that people don't understand, and there really isn't any evil out in the world. If you believe in good and evil, you'll always be at odds against something that you believe is evil, right? But the reality is that all those things that you think are evil are just these ideas of separation between one or two people, and maybe somebody's disagreement or their belief system. All it is a idea of separation, when the reality is we're all just one, right? And so we're in this giant organic consciousness that's interacting with each other. And as long as you can let that stuff go and you can establish your connection to the divine, then you'll be supported no matter what you do. And your heart won't be destroyed, right? It doesn't matter how much stuff, if people try to attack you or anything that happens to you in this life, that connection with the divine will keep you moving. It'll make you stronger. It makes you so that you can walk and not be weary. And that's what, Jesus was talking about and all that stuff. Unconditional love is the most important thing that there is, because that is your connection with everybody. It is your connection with the divine and everybody at the same time. Being able to accept everybody for how they are and what they do. And I've relied on that connection ever since then. That cleansing experience has never gone away. In the Bible, it was the symbolic representation of the circumcision, right? When Abraham started to circumcise, I think it was Abraham, right? That was the original circumcision. But elsewhere in the Bible, I think it talks about it. It's called the circumcision of the heart, or the stripping away the pericardium, so that your heart doesn't become hardened. Because if you see the way people are reacting in certain ways and your heart becomes hard towards those people, then you'll always see yourself at odds. And the reality is everybody's going through their own journey. And maybe the way that you support them is just to not interact with them and just be an example of what unconditional love is, and say, hey, look, I'm always here for you. If you need me, my door is always open, but I'm not going to, be a instigator of more trauma, right? Because you can make someone's trauma worse by getting in there and arguing, or I can have very neutral disagreements, or I actually am very open-minded. I don't try to stick to any kind of belief system or what I believe is right or wrong. All I know is that I love everybody around me unconditionally, and every relationship I ever have is all of us are trying to break through barriers to where we all become more intimate and more vulnerable and closer together. So yeah. And this is my final slide here on this subject, is there is nobody out to get you. Even if they, on the surface, you come out, you're around somebody and it seems like they want to attack you, there's nothing they can do to harm you as long as your heart is pure. This life is just a shadow of the reality out there, and that's something that I learned through that experience. Let your pain go. You don't have to hold on to it. And even at times, I've put stuff out there where I say, I get sad because of the people. You see the people, especially in the business community, right? There's so much competition, and there's so many people that are trying to, right now, especially in a recession, people are striving for that thing, right? They're trying to get, they think they need an income, and they don't realize that all you have to do is just love unconditionally and support everyone around you, and you're always supported. There's never anything to worry about. You can walk into any community, even if you're by yourself, and you just be you and be authentically you and just love everybody around you, and don't ever feel like there's anybody out to get you. You're always safe. You'll always be looked out for, and there'll always be a door that's open for you, that's waiting for you to walk through to a better reality, right? You're always increasing your understanding and your awareness, and your faith will make you whole. As long as you keep following your heart will heal, and your faith in that process will make you whole, and your load will lighten more and more and more. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first video. This is an important set of videos. I don't know how many there's going to be, probably 3 or 4. In the next video about this subject, I'll probably make it tomorrow. I want to go over what you go through, right? Because in the process, you're both attracting relationships of wherever your heart health is at, plus you're getting relationships that maybe the divine is putting in your life for a reason, to both teach you how you can help people in the long run and attract people that are also at the same place that you are, right? So I love you guys, and always think about your heart health, and just do what your heart's telling you to do.